Every button is kick. Something.
So that's the new Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
What about it?
They say it has 16-bit technology, whatever that means.
The SNES Classic is finally here, and thankfully, unlike the NES, it appears that this one's actually got a decent amount of quantity that's going around. It's still selling out really fast, but we were able to get our hands on one. So let's open it up and check it out. Now, one thing that's cool about this one compared to the NES Classic is that we actually get two controllers. Oh yeah, now that is pretty much a perfect recreation. I was actually playing on SNES the other night so I could try to remember what it feels like, and this is actually really close, aside from obviously being really brand new and not, you know, how old was that thing? 20 years? Over 20? Oh, that's pretty. Look at the little guy. So all the buttons, yep, these two buttons still work. Eject does nothing. There's nothing to eject. Obviously the flap doesn't work. On the back, HDMI out, along with the power cable, which is just a micro USB, or mini USB actually. No wait, yeah, micro. And then, unlike the NES Classic, something I thought was interesting they did different on this one is they actually did little like fake ports that are like what the SNES actually had. Now, while the basic idea here is still the same thing as the NES Classic, because it's a newer model, Nintendo had a little more time to add some new upgrades to the SNES Classic in comparison. Now, first off, if you look at the main screen, same basic idea. The UI is very similar, but it's a lot flashier, which I really like. Now, as far as an actual functional upgrade, if we go to display settings, just like with the NES Classic, you have the option of playing in 4:3, a CRT filter, or using Pixel Perfect. But in addition to that, since all of these modes are still going to give you some annoying black lines on the side, which you might get used to ignoring, but if not, you can fill them up with different frame options. So you can give you a nice little border around it, or you can even fake having a CRT setup on your monitor, which is actually pretty cool. Now, one last upgrade that Nintendo did is the fact that, like I said earlier, the cable is longer. Now they've actually had time to kind of measure, compare. The one on the NES Classic was under 3 feet. This one is now 4.5. Which is still pretty much useless for most actual real setups. This is shorter than the SNES's real cables, so that's a little annoying, which got me to thinking of a way to fix this problem. A company I've talked about before on this channel and covered a lot of accessories from is 8BitDo, and one item they've done in particular is this retro receiver right here. Now there's a couple different models of this thing. They've done one for the actual NES, the actual SNES, and this one here is for the NES Classic. And the idea here is that it just lets you use a Bluetooth controller wirelessly with your system, thus saving you having to deal with cables. And the idea they have is that they want you to use that with their line of retro controllers that are Bluetooth, allowing you to have the experience of using an SNES style controller, but without the hassle of having the cable that the Classic comes with, because like I said, a bit too short. But honestly, not always the best choice. I mean, these things are super nostalgic, I'm used to the feeling, but it's not actually the most comfortable controller in the world sometimes. So in the past, on the NES Classic, I've used a PS4 controller. Works perfectly fine with the receiver. But honestly, for something like this that kind of feels boring to me, there is something about using an actual styled controller for the SNES. So I did a little searching and I stumbled upon this on Etsy from XL Team. An SNES PS4 controller. There's some really cool detail on this thing. I mean, obviously all the colors match. I really like how they took the extra step though of putting the Super Nintendo logo on the touch bar. So I was super excited to use this with the SNES Classic, which we tested a bit ago and it didn't exactly go as planned. Let's just go ahead and unplug you, set up this guy, sync it at the same time. All right. Yeah, so far so good. I think it's working. Let's do Street Fighter. I know what all the buttons do. And then we'll just, yeah, because then, wait, no. No. Okay, so it works. Every button is kick. And by that I mean I think every button, like it's the B and the A button I think, is what kick should be. So it's reading everything as B and A, like an NES actually. It's not X and Y X and Y just do the same thing. Every button is kick. This is not, every button is kick. Okay, so the problem here wasn't the controller itself. I've used it on the NES Classic and it works fine. The issue is the fact that that retro receiver I talked about actually needs to be patched to work with the SNES Classic, which I didn't really think of. The firmware isn't up yet, but 8BitDo has mentioned they are planning to do an update soon, so it'll work. So I'm really excited when I can do that, but for now, I would like to have access to more buttons than just kick. Just like the NES Classic, I think this thing is an awesome little collectible for anyone who's a fan of old school retro gaming, and hopefully, unlike the NES, it's going to be a little easier to get a hold of. It already looks like stocks are a bit better, so in a few weeks, it's not going to be a situation where we're going to just see them being scalped for $300 a piece. Either way, I'm going to link it down below on Amazon. Hopefully some more pop up for you guys to grab. And if you really like this design of this SNES PS4 controller, make sure to check out XL Team on Etsy. They've got a whole lot of other custom paint jobs like this that are just so awesome looking. Make sure to give them a look.